What's going on, Colts Nation? I appreciate you joining me for another video. Where in this one, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of our new pickups and kind of what we're seeing from them, what we're hearing from them, and how excited. Colts Nation as a whole. I feel like we haven't been this excited in a while, right? I guess when we drafted Anthony Richardson, there was a lot of optimism, a lot of people that were immediately on the train of, hey, why do we pick this guy at number 4? But for the most part, a lot of optimism, right? Colts fans hoping, hey, this is our guy. We found the one. And hopefully that's still true. Jury's still out on that. I'm not completely out on AR yet. Wouldn't want to see what he can do as he continues to age and continues to progress and develop, both as a player and as a man. And as we go forward here, in this exciting time, talking about, again, some of these new Colts, and primarily here talking about our new cornerback one, and Charvarius Ward, who talked with the media. Charvarius Ward, Daniel Jones, Ashton Dulin, and Danny Pinter. Those are the 4 guys that talked to the media on Thursday. It'll be interesting to see if, are we going to hear from Cam Bynum? Are they going to do a press conference for him? This time of year, players are on vacation. But I just think going into it, looking at who we're getting and looking at the things that surround him, I think one thing that was pretty striking from his press conference is somebody who I follow the NFL, but especially, ever since I started doing primarily Colts content, really just hardcore on the Colts. I didn't know Charvarius Ward went through the things that he was going through last year, lost his daughter last year. And he mentioned during the press conference a few different times. It was about an 8.5-minute press conference. And there were a couple different times where he mentioned how hard it was. Talked about how he didn't want to let the team down. So he went back and played for the Niners. But, this quote here says, physically, I was on the football field, but mentally, I was kind of like retired. My mind wasn't on the game. And he said that after the season, he got the hunger back. He started missing the game, right? Getting away from it and started missing it. But he also talked about how, not only the personal turmoil that he goes through, specifically this past season, but also you think where they've been as a team. He goes there as a highly touted free agent. And San Francisco has had heartbreaking loss after heartbreaking loss. Year after year. Then this past year, they're really not even a good team. But it just year after year, you just see the Niners getting to the playoffs, Super Bowl team, ready to go get it. Made it to the Super Bowl a couple times. Just heartbreak. And he talked about how between what happened on the football field, what happened off the football field, he felt like it was time for a reset for him, and it was something that he was kind of alluding to, and then he was kind of led into saying, but essentially saying, yeah, like he needed a fresh start. That's what he said. Needing a fresh start, needing to be in a different place. And he's a guy who's hungry. This is one of the best corners in the NFL. Lou Anarumo told him that he's going to be able to travel with number ones. So we're going to see throughout the season, he's going to travel with number ones. Jalen Jones is going to be traveling with number 2s, right? And then we have Kenny locking down the slot. Really exciting time to think about how we felt about our secondary for years. And then Jalen Jones comes onto the scene. Unfortunately, really, him and Kenny, the only bright spots in the secondary. Nick Cross, a lot of tackles, but still up and down, and really good stuff from Nick Cross last year to bring into this year, continue to develop, continue to get better. But nonetheless, Jalen Jones, pleasant surprise 7th-round pick coming in while Juju was supposed to be the number 1 corner, but he's been hurt. So now you're looking at Juju as depth. You're looking at Samuel Womack as depth. All of a sudden, the cornerback room itself gets much deeper just because you bring in Charvarius Ward to cover number 1s, and Jalen Jones has been your acting number 1 since his rookie year and did a serviceable job last year. Actually, I have this stat here that says Jalen Jones recorded 100 tackles in 2024, the youngest player to record 100 plus tackles in the NFL during the 2024 season. So still very young. That's another thing about Jalen Jones. Just like a lot of players on this team, honestly, for as many 24, 25-year-olds coming to the NFL. The Colts don't draft those guys typically, especially lately. We've been drafting younger guys. Jalen Jones was drafted as a 7th rounder knowing like this guy has it. He just needs to grow. He just needs to get better. And because of the position that he was thrusted into, he had to figure it out on the fly. Now, luckily, there's been good coaches, and the secondary coaches that we have, like that's the other thing. You talk about the secondary. We have our safeties, our cornerbacks, what we're looking like in the secondary, bro. We got Lou Anarumo, defensive secondary specialist, and then like 3 assistant coaches that he brought with him that are secondary guys, that have all been secondary coaches and are here to really help boost that secondary that's hurt us so much. And it'll be interesting to see how, obviously, pass rush and pass coverage work hand in hand. You need one to have the other. So, and scheme's going to be different. Like there's just, when I start thinking about like Gus Bradley's scheme really held us back because teams were able to get the ball out quick. That's why Jacksonville, Doug Peterson, his offense has so much set. That offense is tailor-made to go directly against a defense like Gus Bradley's. When you don't adjust, when you run what you run, getting the ball out quickly, a lot of on the edge, a lot of screen passes, stuff like that, a lot of RPO game, things like that really torch the Colts and really hurt our edge rushers. Even DeForest Buckner, for as many sacks as he gets, it's not enough. Honestly, like our edge rushers for years could have been better if we were running a different scheme where we're not hanging so far back and giving the cushion at the line of scrimmage. Like things are going to change in the new defensive scheme, and now you have corners to go with it. Now you have 2 aggressive safeties to go with it. Like the possibilities of what is going to happen in our secondary are absolutely incredible. I love everything about what is happening right now for our secondary. I think another good thing to mention from the Charvarius Ward press conference is the fact that he said, quote, "I felt like the Colts were the most aggressive team." So all of the teams that were trying to go get him, and he thought the Colts were the most aggressive. And we heard Ballard talk about in the end-of-year press conference that he's struggled to close deals and that's something he had to do better and that he had to take a different approach and bring in outside talent. Now, he's, of course, re-signed some of his own guys, and there's actually another re-signing of a guy that went elsewhere. We'll talk about that later. But nonetheless, we're at a position here where Chris Ballard, like, finally, like the things that I was calling for him to do last year, he finally decided to do this year. And when you really look at it, like, I mean, there was a lot of talented guys that we were looking at last year. Honestly, I think everything happens for a reason. Everything you go through is a lesson, right? And I think the lessons of all the failures that we've gone through, like they've gone through personally and professionally, like the people that actually do it, Chris Ballard and all them, like they feel the failure. As fans, we see the failure, we feel it because we feel connected with the team. And, but from that aspect, just continuous feeling of loss after 2+ decades of winning. And I think what we're seeing now is a turn back into that direction. Are we a Super Bowl team this year? That all depends on the quarterback. Like, we have a squad. I mean, we do. We have a squad. I think we have some really good coaches. And so we're at a point where one of these quarterbacks got to figure it out. Somebody's got to figure it out at quarterback. Obviously, we need to run the Eagles model, and this is a whole different conversation. But we need to run the Eagles model where you run the ball, 65% of the time or 57% of the time or something crazy. Like, just run the ball, man. We got Khalil Herbert now too. Draft a rookie that you feel confident with, that you can include into some running game. You have Tyler Goodson there. Like, give yourself options and run the ball a lot. Even with Anthony Richardson, run the ball. Even with Daniel Jones, run the ball. And at the end of the day, hope that Anthony Richardson comes in to the season and all the work that he's put in the offseason with quarterback trainers. Let's just hope it works out. Because again, this is a go all in off season. From anything I've seen Chris Ballard do, from all the talk Jim Irsay's had before, Chris Ballard's had before about going all in, this is as all in as the Colts have gone in a very long time. And honestly, man, I couldn't be any more pleased. Obviously 2022, I guess you could have said that when they went and got Matt Ryan and Stephon Gilmore, but nonetheless, I think what we're doing right now, this is easily the best Chris Ballard offseason at this point. Of obviously what happens in the draft and what happens throughout the rest of the offseason. He's got to build the rest of the roster, and there are more things that we have to do. We're going to go through the roster and kind of talk about, hey, this is what we're looking at going forward for sure. Like we kind of already talked about, hey, let's go get CJ Mosley and kind of what's next. But I hadn't looked deep into it. We are going to look deep into it and want to get some information to you guys on, hey, this is what we should expect going forward and possibly what we should expect in the draft. So plenty of content to come for you guys. Got draft content coming up right around the corner of the draft, about a month and a half away or so. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you have notifications on. Plenty of content coming. Appreciate you guys stopping by for another video. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.